Welcome to another episode of Racing to Learn. We're a nonprofit that gets kids excited about math and science. We are working on our Team Co-Rally Dementor today, and you can check out all the videos on our Dementor in the playlist linked in the video description. We're just continuing to do some repairs on this truck after a not so successful landing at the jumps. Now, it was the rear shock tower here that's made out of aluminum that got bent forward here. This is the front of the chassis. This is the rear. So we have straightened it out pretty nicely. Oh, it looks like there still might be some bending in it. Actually, it's pretty flat. We're probably good to go here. Flat enough. We had put it on a flat surface. Basically, we had put it in a vise and then straightened it out a little bit, just using the clamping force of the vise. And then what the vise couldn't take out because it just kind of smashes it flat. If you have like a hydraulic press or something, you can actually smash it even flatter or bring it back to normal flatness, but we don't have one of those on hand yet. So we had to use a hammer at just clamping the vise in where it was still straight. It was actually bent right at around here, bent at an angle this way. So we clamped it in the vise up to here, like say this is the vise, we clamped it here and then just hit it with a hammer until it was flat again. So we weren't sure how flat we could get it with that approach, and it's actually reasonably flat. If you lay it on a piece of glass or whatnot, it was pretty much flat. So flat enough for us at least. Briefly, we were considering mounting the rear suspension from our Python. Our Python's out of commission. We're waiting for some replacement parts on that. So we were thinking of mounting the rear tower, and you can just see the size difference here. If I lay them across each other, right, the Dementor puts the shock out and above maybe about an inch or so, inch and a half. That's probably, I don't know what that converts to in metric, but maybe 30 centimeters or so, just a rough eyeball, but you could just see the difference here in the shock placement. And also on the bottom, the shocks are out. If we just compare the mounting spots here, the shock mounts at around here on the Python. Let me get that straight. Around here, so it's moved out a good amount, and there are a variety of mounting positions here. I forgot what we were running stock there, but it's a good, at least it's about here. It's at least the distance from here to here, if not over here. So that would have definitely messed up the suspension geometry, not to mention the shock travel. And suspension travel, just as the radius of that has changed. So we're gonna go ahead and stick with the stock setup. Fortunately, we were able to hammer it relatively flat, so we can just replace it as is. Now, in the previous video, we took off the brace, and putting it back on is pretty much the reverse. So I just want to make sure that I have this correctly oriented. There's machined out or pressed out. I think of this as machined, but they're inlets. There's a surface here that's machined out or cut out. I don't know. A machine cut, same thing. But that will hold the bolts in place that capture the mounting posts for the suspension. So again, I'm just gonna put this up here, and you can tell on the camera it's relatively flat. I don't know if this is still bent in a little bit. Let me get a flat surface. relatively, yeah, that is flat. Just to show you, that is pretty flat. So we should be good. The installation is just the reverse of the disassembly. They used to like to say that a lot, and they probably still do in a lot of car manuals that I used to read. Now, putting this back together, I'm gonna have to think here. What went where? I should probably have a copy of the manual. So I do know that these smaller screws, these are identical. These are the last ones I took out. So where is my trusty driver? Go ahead and get these worked in here. The nice thing is that there are only a few different screw sizes. I just want to start these off by hand before I use the power driver or the drill, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I think, what did I take out next? I should probably put in the larger brace here. The larger brace. This guy here, the shock mount, because that takes up some of the holes. I'm actually debating what to put back in here because we are not using the wing because we're using a roll cage, and we actually broke some of the wing mount hardware, or I shouldn't call it hardware. The plastics in the wing mount, I just want to make sure I'm not cross-threading these, that's why I'm hand screwing them in. So the wing mount does occupy some of those other screw holes up here. So I'm just going to tighten these so the shock tower isn't flopping around, so I can figure out which mounts I'm going to actually use here. Okay, so this did a fairly nice job of keeping the part of the shock tower from bending. Just the buttressing of this piece of plastic here. So I'm definitely going to take off these two wing mounts because this was just ripped, or the bottom of these two were just ripped, so we're not using this mount anyways for the wing. I'm just debating on whether I even need this piece of plastic in here or not, because we're not using the body mounts either that went on the other side of this wing mount, and this actually still bent with these on there, unsurprisingly. So I'm actually going to think about it. I can put back some of these screws, the rear tie rods here I can put back in. Yeah, actually, before I put this back together, I'm going to put in some thought. In the previous episode, I was debating on whether to do some cross bracing here as well, from this shock tower to that shock tower. So I'm going to see if I can mock up something while I have the truck in this state. So let us know what you think in the comments. Any approaches that you think we should take, smash that like button if we've earned it. That subscribe button helps us even more, and that notification bell, hit that if you want to get notified whenever we post up a new video. And until the next one, take care. We'll see you next time.